The beautiful Ile de Friul, our landfall after passage from Bonifacio in Corsica. After a glorious 3 days here, the wind was shifting and pushing swell into the anchorage, so it was time to leave. Join us as we head across to Port St. Louis du Rhône. We'll explore a little before hauling out of the water to fly home for a family wedding in the UK. This is Intrepid Bear, a 40-foot sailboat off to explore the world with her crew Ian and Kate.
Come aboard and let's see what's out there.
Until I saw it. Farewell to the Calanque de Morgret. Very nice little spot. Just a bit rolly now, but it was lovely while we were here. So who knows, might come back this way. There's not really enough wind to put the sails up, so it's just going to be a rolly passage, but we've only got a couple of hours till the first waypoint, and we turn into Port St. Louis at that point, and the swell should drop down, so it's going to be slightly annoying for a couple of hours, but it's only a couple of hours, so not too worried.
Walk in the park, that's not anything.
A walk in the park, 15 miles. I laugh in the face of 15 miles.
It'll bite you.
So we're approaching Port St. Louis du Rhône now. This is quite a busy industrial port, and there's a very defined channel through, so we'll have to be paying attention to that, make sure we follow the navigation marks and not get in the way of any big ships, because there's quite a lot of them anchored out here. Haven't seen many moving yet, but there's a lot anchored out. Speaking of navigation marks, these yellow and black ones are called cardinal marks. There are 4 different types, one for each point of the compass, identified by different combinations of yellow and black and different shaped top marks. There's an easy way to remember the top marks. North have 2 upward facing cones, south have 2 downward. West has 2 cones pointing together making a wine glass shape, W for wine glass and W for west. The east cardinal mark has 2 cones pointing away from each other, forming the shape of an egg.
Behind the navigation marks was something a little harder to identify from a distance, but it would become clearer when we went ashore later in the dinghy.
We're just looking at some of the anchored boats. We're showing a bit of current ourselves on our electronics, but just looking at the anchored ships up near the top of the screen at the moment. They're sort of lying in a curve around, and there is a little bit of wind, but if it was wind they were lying to, they'd all be lying the same way, but they're lying in a bit of a curve, so that suggests there's current flow coming out of there, which you would expect because it's a river, but it's quite interesting to see. And then the boats down to our left hand side, our port side, they're angled across, so it's like the current is coming out and round and circling back on itself, and the ships there all at anchor kind of show where the current is flowing. So putting back on the anchor chain, the speed over the ground is reduced to 0.1 or less, and the blue line, so our course over the ground line coming out the back of the boat on the plotter, has gone. And using the boat off to our port side as a marker, I can see that his mast is not moving across the background when I rev up. Well, that's what I need to see, should I say. You see, I put some power on there, and now we're doing 0.8 knots backwards, so the anchor is not dug in. and then suddenly the bow swings right up to the anchor. So we'll just try again. Might have got a bite now. Sometimes you can go too fast. You don't want to be going too fast until the anchor's actually bitten, so I might have been a little bit heavy-handed there perhaps. Just pull gently until it's had a chance to dig in. That's much better, happy with that, that's a good bite. So this is the anchorage at Port St. Louis de Rhône. I actually quite like it. People say, oh, it's far too industrial, it's horrible. I like it because it's a wide open anchorage, good holding, and a lot of space. So you could get hundreds of boats in here and not be overcrowded. You've got a nice sandbar over there. Then yes, it's very industrial behind me over here. But yeah, it's all right. It's interesting watching all the ships come and go. But anyway, it's a great anchorage. Lobster. Exploring. Yeah, samphire.
Yeah, samphire.
Wow, that's a sad but fascinating sight. There's clearly under the sand there, for those masts to be in line and upright, under the sand, there must be a whole boat. The boat must have gone aground here several years ago, I guess, and just been absorbed by the sand, because that does happen. But yeah, it's just weird to think there's a whole, probably 40 or 50 foot boat under there. That's not a small catch. So underneath there, so yeah, the stays for the mizzen mast coming down here. So let's say the stern of the boat's out there, probably just under the water line. It's just under the water line there somewhere. Incredible.
There's not much information on the internet, but we've been told that this was a ferro cement yacht that grounded here over 10 years ago and was holed in the accident. It's said that the owner was uninsured and was unable to finance a salvage, and so the vessel was slowly swallowed by the sand. It's a testament to the strength of the rigging that it's still standing after over 10 years of immersion and battering by the winter storms. A fascinating but haunting sight.
Whilst at anchor, we were also treated to another awe-inspiring but nerve-wracking display. Port Navy service, Voyeur, Intrepid Bear, bonjour. Port Navy service, Sailor Voyeur, Intrepid Bear, Voyeur, Intrepid Bear, over. They're not answering the radio, but they're not really a port, they're a lift out facility, so they do have channel 19 listed, but I wasn't really expecting much of an answer, so we'll just go up to the quay.
When hauling out of the water at Port Navy service, they allow you to moor on their waiting dock for up to 24 hours beforehand. Despite my best efforts in French, there was no response to the radio, so we just headed up towards the dock.
So we go around this headland or this point over here. The canal should open up down to our left then, I think.
That's the Canal St. Louis. I find it quite astonishing that we're in such a massive area. The anchorage is so big and everything around it looks so small. And then this one tiny part of the chart that we were approaching, opening up this canal. The canal is huge and it just blows my mind how big this whole area that we're in and the industry around here is. It's a massive area. And you just can't tell looking at a chart or sitting, miles away looking at some little towers.
Like I said, it's a big canal. Don't pull. Okay, no.
We're always grateful for someone helping with our lines, but sometimes they'll try and pull you where you don't want to go. On this occasion, I have come in at a bit too steep of an angle. I can fix it by leaning on the bow line, but the bow is not fended, so it doesn't want to be pulled into the concrete dock.
I'll make it on.
Sorry, I thought you had done yet. But now we're just waiting to get lifted out. It's 25 past 11, we're due out at half 11, and we're going to pressure wash the boat. And unusually for us, they'll rent you the pressure washer, but you have to do it yourself. Every yard we've ever been in, you're not allowed to pressure wash yourself. I'm actually quite looking forward to it. It always looks like quite a satisfying job. So, but yeah, just waiting for them to turn up and tell us where they want us, because there's a dock over there that the travel hoist could use, and there's another one over here, and then there's also alongside. We saw a boat going out on a trailer earlier, hydraulic trailer. We could be on that, we've no idea, but we just wait for the guys to turn up and tell us where they'd like us.
Those?
Yeah, we'll need a third one there in a minute.
Yeah, okay, so bow line up?
Yes. Okay, so they've told us we're going on the little tractor trailer thing, so we've got to go over there in front of this catamaran. Haven't got a camera fully set up, so I'll just do what I can. I am much happier when a boat is in a travel hoist. This looks really sketchy. I'm sure they know what they're doing and they don't drop many boats, I hope. But a travel hoist makes me a lot happier. I've never done this before on a boat of mine.
Hauling a boat out of the water has never been something that causes me much stress, but the trailer was definitely the most nerve-wracking yet, especially when...
I'm hoping that bang was a plastic bottle, but I don't know.
Oh God, that was so scary. And there was that massive crack just there. I was like,
yeah, I hope that was a plastic bottle.
Oh my God. We think that the loud bang was an exploding plastic bottle crushed by the trailer wheel. In any event, the bear was towed out safely, and it was time to see how she was after around 7 months afloat.
All was well under the waterline, so it was time to learn how to use the pressure washer.
What?
Laughing at you. Like a boy with a new toy.
Go on then.
After a good bottom scrub that was actually more hard work than it looks, the Bear was set down into her home for the next month. Port Navy service on the St. Louis Canal is a huge boat storage facility. It was the best value we could find to leave the boat secure for a month. It was also fascinating to wander around all the hundreds of different boats in the yard.
So where we are is on the Canal du Rhône, I think it's called. Port Navy service there, and that leads into the River Rhône. And this up here, this is the mighty Rhône River, which goes all the way up to, I don't know where, I'll have to look it up. But then it goes down to the sea just over there. And at the end of the canal, you've got a marina and stuff, and there used to be all sorts of shipping come up there, and I think it still does. And then you can canal out into the actual Rhône River and go off up, and ultimately you can come out into the English Channel in the north of France, right from the south, if you have got the shallow enough draft. Our boat is just too deep, so we can't do it. But yeah, that's the Rhône River. Pretty impressive. That's the Canal du Rhône down there. That's where we are, just off the side of there with the boat on the hard. I think it was once a really busy port. There's pictures on the walk there with all big ships, and there's great big bollards. So, and you've got all the railway tracks from the old days of being a proper working port, but now it's just a marina over that side.
All the warehouses there and the wharf that was stood on with the train tracks and the old cobbles and everything.
Yes.
Industrial and still used parts, but I think they unload them further down the canal more, don't they?
So this is a big lock that leads from the canal out to the Rhône. I'm not quite sure what purpose it serves, because you can get in here anyway from the other end.
What I hadn't noticed on the chart at the time is that it's actually pretty shallow and silted up at the mouth of the river, and so the lock allows bigger vessels into the canal and onto the Mediterranean Sea. And with that, we packed our bags and headed to the UK, where we applied for and were granted a 6-month French tourist visa to allow us to spend more time in the Mediterranean when we return to the boat in July. Join us then to relaunch and start exploring the surprisingly beautiful south of France.